DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Hey everybody, and welcome out to the Monday night. And I was about to call it Shani's got 5 on it, but she doesn't have 5 on it tonight. We are recapping, if you will, I guess, of what happened last week. For those of you maybe who lived under a rock and for some reason, or coming out of a coma, maybe, I don't know. But we just returned from Atlantic City and DJ Expo 2018, and there was a lot of great things that happened. And so for those of you that maybe want to recap for yourself, because you were there and you kind of want to relive it yourself, or if you wondered what maybe you missed, tonight's show is going to be a lot about that, just kind of filling in some of those missing pieces and give you a chance to, already maybe put it on your calendar for next year, give you some of those good reasons and whatnot to go from there. So thank you very much for tuning in. And I don't know where do we necessarily want to start. That's one thing because we probably should have been talking about exactly where we're going to begin tonight. I guess let's start with Monday. Some highs in that from Monday. Actually, I'll give my high from Sunday. Shani was nice enough to hang out with me.
Wait a second, before we get to that, Dan, we have to we have to assume there's going to be some people who are going to watch that have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, because some people, this might put them over the fence to maybe come to DJ Expo.
They might not even know what DJ Expo is. They might have found us because of hashtag clavicle.
Hashtag clavicle. I don't know what you're talking about. The answer is C, Despacito.
C for clavicle.
Okay, so let's go there. Tangent time.
Okay.
Why is my child texting people and saying, "Can you play Despacito for me?" Where's this coming from? This is the thing they're doing. They are texting each other and asking if they would play Despacito for them. I have no idea what this is. And this isn't the 15-year-old, by the way, who is in practicing, who, by the way, last Tuesday absolutely rocked the party. I'm just saying.
Yes, he did.
We'll get to that Tuesday. I thought I
thought we were talking about what they don't know about.
Talk about Sunday, and you literally
I know. Okay,
cut him off.
So let's
we're going to do it day by day.
So let's start with the big overview.
I'll start with the big overview, and then Dan, you can take Monday. So
perfect.
DJ Expo is an event, a DJ convention. This is the largest DJ event in the United States. This happens in Atlantic City, New Jersey. This year it was at Harrah's Casino, which is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. If you think Atlantic City doesn't have a middle of nowhere, you are wrong. It is where Harrah's is. So you're out here and you've got water on one side, you've got weeds on the other side, and you've got like really scary people on the third side, and that's where we are. It happened on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of last week. That's where we were. We were having a good time out in the middle of nowhere, but we had Starbucks. So when you have Starbucks, you're really not completely out in the middle of nowhere, but you're pretty darn close.
I think John is on Starbucks right now.
The event has DJs from around the world literally coming to this event, but it's mainly an East Coast event. Education is part of it, but it's not a big part. Exhibit hall is a big part, but it's not part, that kind of a thing. Lots of cool things going on. We're going to talk about a lot of the cool things, but if you would like to find out more information about DJ Expo, you go out to DJExpo.com, or you can go out to DJ Times, which is a magazine for kind of club and mobile DJs. They have links to the show. You will not find out any information about next year's show until January at the absolute earliest, most likely February, sometimes March, could be April, maybe even June. Some years it's just that way. But it always happens about the same time in August. So look for it in August of 2019. Dan.
All right. So basically,
You're
if
not
you
Dan.
just came on the
You're not
screen, we're going to
Dan.
let you know it is not Shani's I Got Five on it. It is the John Show tonight. And Dan and I are just the backup.
I'm
So
done.
we're just glad to be here.
And the answer is okay.
John, take it away because I don't even know. I mean, I'm going to applaud you for that.
Okay, so
He was not reading a script. It was not a teleprompter.
Yes,
He just literally just let that fly.
That just sounds so
I think John had a little bit of frustration for being in the middle of nowhere.
No, it was
No, because you could take, a quick Uber to Hard Rock Cafe. And if you went there, you could actually eat there. And I think John kind of knows what I'm going with this, because if people don't know, Hard Rock was the old Taj, and they kept something in there, which I noticed when we went to go to the club. It was, of course, closed when I went to the club at 2 a.m., but White House Subs was still there.
It is.
So.
But we'll get to that as we continue through the schedule, because we'll put that in the proper point of when we went to it.
Point of reference. Yeah,
For
absolutely.
point of reference.
So so I guess we're just gonna be all over the board tonight. Why not?
But we could try to start Dan, let's try to start Sunday if you want.
Oh yeah, we could do that.
Okay, so Shani and I got to experience kind of Harrah's and how it was going to be set for Expo at the same time. So Shani and I rode in together, and one of the things I thought that was kind of interesting this year was you get into the hotel and there was no real sign that the Expo was going on. Yeah. I mean, when you got to the Taj, there was stand-up banners, and there was, stuff all over the walls, and it was just like, okay, this is where it is. Even last year when it was at the convention center, you walk into the convention center, it was like signs, here it is. You walk into Harrah's and you go, did we come to the right place? Like, seriously, we had that for a few moments. And I know it was over in the convention center, and as soon as you got over there, then it was like, okay, we're in the right spot. But initially, like, Shani and I are walking, we're like, where are we going here? This is like, there's no signs anywhere. They did start to fix that, though. I think by at least by Tuesday, I saw some in the middle of the casino area, like the middle of the gambling area. There was big signs like DJ Expo this way. It's like, okay. But initially it did make things a little more difficult, I guess, if you will. But that was the deal. Sunday was cool, though. I mean, Sunday was one of those days. If you come to this expo, and especially if you're going to be traveling for a distance, I really recommend coming in Sunday. It gives you a chance to get checked in. If you get to meet up with a few people, especially if you know them online. I know different years, some of the different Facebook groups have actually said, okay, our group is going to get together on Sunday and we're going to, take a big dinner somewhere. It just gives you kind of a chance to kind of get started, if you will. And then you also start Monday off more fresh. My very first year, I didn't know about that. And I drove in that morning, like Monday morning. I left my house at I think it was 3 a.m. or something. It was insane. But the main purpose was, I was like, well, I didn't think about getting in a hotel the night before. And, just because you go from morning till wee hours of the night, good idea to get that hotel and come in and be more refreshed. So anything you would like to add to that, Shani?
No, I mean, I agree. Sunday, Dan and I basically explored the whole hotel. So we knew what was going on, what was happening. So that's kind of good for people that come in a little bit early if they can. We got there Sunday night and checked in. And then we also found out about check-in, which is something that if you guys don't already know, you can actually check in online and then go to the kiosks and check in. But you got to make sure you have your ID and your credit card that you use, but you don't have to stand on the long lines, and then you can go to the key area if you're not a big gambler and don't have the status of their total rewards to stand in one of those kind of lines. So that's just something to know about next time if you guys are checking in and you're like, oh my God, there's 100 people ahead of me checking in. You definitely can do that for check-ins. But
that was nice.
We explored. We went in the convention center when we weren't supposed to.
Yeah, we went over. There was a guy sitting there. Goes, "We're closed." And we know that, and we know it's not open yet. And it's like, no, you can't be in here. And just want to know where we got to go. And that kind of even frustrated me too. Not because he wanted to kick us out, but we get in the convention center, and of course they have things numbered by the rooms. But what was room 16, which is where all the seminars are supposed to happen, 16 on the first floor was the big exhibit hall.
Yeah.
16 on the second floor was where all the seminars were, or a lot of the seminars were. So kind of weird the way they did that, but we found our place. We're not too bad. So let's start talking about Monday a little bit. First off, you get there. If you haven't registered ahead of time, that's the first thing you want to make sure you're doing. So, don't party too much Sunday to the point that you're like, oh, I'm just going to sleep in and just run into the seminar. You have to get your badges. You have to get all that kind of stuff. So you definitely want to do that. They started everything off this year with the typical networking one. It's, get to know each other, but, hand out like 5,000 business cards and say hi to people you haven't seen, probably for a year. So those kind of things are cool. They went into the all-star MCs and I'll be honest, I talked about this last Monday when John and I were kind of giving a recap of the day, and I was not impressed because of what I was used to before.
Yeah.
If Shani came in and you kind of sat with me for a little bit, and we kind of like, this is 101. And people will talk about seminars and oftentimes they'll be like, oh, it's 101. No, we're talking like hold the microphone like this and enunciate and it's not that it was bad, because I know there were people that needed to hear it. And I'll be honest, I was one of those people who needed to hear it in some aspects. But from the previous years with the All-Star MCs, it was this panel of about 4 or 5 veterans who would give you some tips, who would give you some of the ideas or routines maybe that they've done that have given them great responses. And so to kind of take that and flip it, it just was kind of like I was expecting this and instead got because of what I was expecting. And again, Adam White did a great job with it. I think, how he took the 3 other MCs that were kind of the main focal point and they did some, give and take with it. Some of it added humor. As a friend of mine who was sitting in the audience for his first one, he was just like, it reinforced a lot of the ideas that he was doing. So it made him feel good about how he was or how he was performing and emceeing. But it was just from what I was used to before. I was kind of like, I wanted that. I wanted the Steve Moody. For those of you that don't know, Steve Moody used to do this, and I think he knocked it out of the park when he always used to do it. In fact, the very first year I went, that was the first seminar I saw, and it was at the end of that I went, I'm coming next year. Like I didn't even see any other seminars that week. I could have skipped all the rest of them that week, and I knew I was coming back next year because of that. So. Okay. I'll continue on with seminars for a little bit. Actually, no, I want to back up because someone I get like notes here. At the registration, they did something this year that I thought it was kind of funny. One of the biggest complaints every year is the exhibit hall and how loud it is. So what did they give out with registration? Earplugs.
I missed my earplugs.
Oh, you didn't see them?
I didn't get any. No wonder
there was a big fishbowl of them, like by every spot.
I feel so bad now. Okay, I'll be better.
Okay. But no, I thought it was cool. I thought, the fact that they responded to that showed that they were going to make an attempt. We'll put it that way. They were going to make an attempt to try and control volume, but they also know that just because they make an attempt does not mean that the vendor inside that exhibit hall is going to listen to them the second that they walk away. And so here was a way for you to protect yourself in the meantime. I thought that was cool that they did that. And they went that route. Continuing on, going back then to the seminars on Monday, there was 2 other ones that really stuck out to me. Fox Feltman did a creating unique events or creating unique moments, I should say. He has a very, I will say, unique way of doing wedding receptions, almost to the point that every wedding reception is almost identical, and his clients know that. And so he presented a lot of the ideas that he has, and he flat out said, listen, this is the way I do it. And when my clients come to me, this is what they know, that this is what they're going to get. And he says, when I have a wedding, vet or a wedding planner that comes into the mix, he tells his couple, listen, if you want me, you're going to listen to me about it. And if you don't want to listen, then don't go to me. So I thought it was interesting just to see that, I guess, brass balls, for lack of better terms, with that kind of comment. But just the fact that he did it, and then he was able to show some cool, different, unique games and routines and stuff like that. So it's cool to see that.
Sure.
And then Rob Peters, 10 things you can do tomorrow to improve your business. Rob is a really nice guy, really easy to listen to, and a lot of great nuggets going throughout that seminar. So I was somewhat impressed with the Monday seminars. Typically Monday is very heavy on seminars. My personal thought was Tuesday was a little bit better. I'll shut up about Monday then. Shani, what was your take on Monday?
Coming from a production standpoint, when I went into the seminar room, when I was able to peek in when we were waiting for our truck to arrive on the showroom floor, which I'll talk about, I wasn't like, I mean, I get it that it's not, that part's like not sponsored by DJ Expo. I really don't know the whole concept because I haven't talked to Mike Walter about all that. But I know the first thing I did when I came in is I said to Dan, why is the microphone only coming out of one speaker? Like what, like it just like the sound, this is a DJ conference. And again, I'm not putting it on Mike's crew because I know the microphones were sponsored by another company and speakers and stuff like that. But it was just weird to me how the production level hasn't stepped up in the seminar room. And again, that could just be that DJ Times hasn't put a budget into the seminar room. So I don't know the logistics of all that, but I know that the majority of the people that go for the education. And it's just a shame that they kind of half butt it on the production side of it. And maybe if they gave some budget to it, and maybe we're able to make a bigger room so it wasn't standing room only for people, maybe do a rear screen projector so that's not taking up so much time, so much space for chairs, things like that. But again, I didn't know. But of course, being the person that I am, I was just like, oh my God, can somebody fix the mic situation? It's just bugging me that it's only coming out of one speaker. And then the mic to me wasn't even that clear. So to me, like I couldn't take my mind off of the sound of the people coming out of the microphone. So again, I don't know who is to blame on all that, but coming from somebody that was going to be sitting there for hours and listening to this, that might turn some people off, or people might just be like, okay, I'm going to try to get as much education as I can. It is what it is. But I thought that maybe if they opened up the air wall to like one more side, they would have had more people coming in there because there wasn't anywhere to sit for, which is great. I mean, we all say we always want a smaller dance floor to make it look packed. But I think for something like this where people are paying for the education and paying to be there, that I think it's okay because if you go back to the Taj, how big was that seminar, the main seminar room in the Taj? Mm-hmm. Huge, where it wasn't even halfway filled for a lot of seminars. And I think that's okay for something like this, that to have a bigger room and let people have chairs, let people sit instead of trying to squeeze and, oh, can I sit here? Or no, that person just got up to go to the bathroom. They're coming back. So that might just be like, oh, let me peek in. Oh, there's nowhere for me to sit. Oh, people are standing on top of each other. Okay, well, maybe I'll just come back for the next one. And they don't come to the seminar just because there's not a chair. And that's a shame. Mm-hmm. That's a shame. So maybe that's something, like I know this is the first year at Harrah's. I know there's always the troubleshooting and trying to figure things out. And I'm sure they'll probably figure something out. And maybe Mike's staff will give feedback about, the production side of it as well. So it can maybe step up a little bit more.
Believe it or not, the production this year was better than last.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the stuff the troubleshooting issues, it was almost like there was a dropout that they didn't have during setup. Because when they first got on the microphone, this is, I think, before you walked in, it was in both speakers. And then out of nowhere, it dropped out of the one, but they still had the music coming out. So it was this very weird type of phenomenon. Bill said they later on in the afternoon found out one speaker wasn't plugged in. So I'm not sure exactly how they had their connections going together. But yeah, and there always seems to be issues on the first day, and I really don't know how you get around it, because I think they did set up that morning. I was thinking that they set up the day before, but you set up a couple hours before, you run your tests, everything's great, and then for whatever reason, I'm going to be
honest, I produce corporate conferences.
That's true. I
set up at 5 a.m. if I have to. You do what you have to do if you want to be involved in it and you want your name to look good. I'll be like, I'm not, especially, and my corporate conference wasn't a DJ Expo with all DJs that do this for a living. Yeah, so, I mean, my thing is you either do it 100% or you half-ass it and people are going to talk about it.
Here's the thing that everybody was talking about. Whose idea was it to put a speaker demo room 2 soft wall rooms away from one of the main seminar rooms.
Well, I was the one that blew the whistle and went down to DJ Expo and told them to cut it. But what's funny was their room was not even close.
No.
Well, there was that. Well,
That's what was funny.
That was Base Boss, and you had that in the first day, but it wasn't Base Boss the entire time. In fact, RCF got to the point where it was just like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, and they were pushing their stuff too. But I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate, and it's neither the speaker side of it, and it's neither those people, because they paid to have those rooms.
Right.
Why DJ Expo decided, again, there was so much unused space. They could have moved that's
the point that I'm talking about.
Yeah. I think maybe they'll, again, like I said, this is their first year. They, hopefully we'll tweak it and stuff like that. But let's be honest, it doesn't matter if it was like the smallest speakers that people were demonstrating. You don't put speakers next to a seminar room.
Yeah.
Just like if we all do parties at hotels and venues that have air walls and another party's going on next to you, and you're just listening to the music through an air wall. Like, don't have a party where there's or tell your clients to be like, did you find out if there's any other events going on at the same time? I know you only took half the room and there's an air wall. Just be aware there might be some events. So while we're doing speeches, they're in their big dance set. And you got to deal with it. And it's not your fault because you're trying to do speeches in your room and, they're dropping the bass. So I think DJ Expo just needs to rethink that part of it. Maybe have the other seminars that were like the sponsored ones all the way corner, maybe put those speaker companies there. And, so you don't have to walk the corner to, go see like Rob Swift and those guys or ADJ and things like that you can just, that's just something. But I mean, I know I just felt bad for everybody that wanted to learn the education, and it was just heard through an air wall. Like it was terrible, especially for those people who are like ADD and can't concentrate, and they're trying to like concentrate on whoever is speaking, and you just hear boots and pins and boots and pins.
So let's get into Monday night, and we'll try and move some of this along just a little bit here. But so Monday night was the opening
party at the pool.
Party, thank you. At the pool at Harrah's, and I thought this was kind of cool. DJ Expo took out the place for the night, and we came in. They had a DJ who was spinning a nice set. It wasn't, as MJ would say, it's not anything that was, overly on the performance side. It was a good party set. It was a good dance set. Unfortunately, I have a bunch of DJs, so all they did was stand there and look at the guy. But it was a lot of fun. It was kind of cool to see that, because it was a little change from what they've done in the past. Usually the opening party was a bunch of kind of a precursor to the Wednesday night entertainer type performances, and this was not the case. It was a big performance, and of course one of the cool highlights of the night, at least I thought it was, Mike Walters' Prince set. Solid half an hour of great. He dug into some deep tracks. He did some of the more popular stuff, some more mainstream stuff, and just kind of really floated together a nice way. Mike Walter, not really known for his mixing, at least to a lot of DJs.
Yep.
He's for his seminars and his talking, his MCs, but the guy can mix. And if you want to hear it, he did put it up on SoundCloud, so you can listen to it afterwards. So I did that, I think, just recently, because I was like, well, this is kind of cool. I want to hear it again, because you're kind of in the ambiance. You're hearing some things, you're talking, you don't catch everything. And it was solid. It was solid. So I thumbs up to Mike for that. But definitely cool that they did that. They like I said, they took it over. I wish they would have done that for the Wednesday night. I know why they didn't. At least I believe I know why they didn't. But still, I think it was kind of cool. So
you didn't think for Wednesday night?
I'd use the pool area rather than going across.
DAS Audio. Oh, you mean because DAS Audio is at the pool, and they've always been at the pool on Wednesdays.
Yeah, I didn't know technically who it was. I mean, I know that's their big night. I know that's Harrah's big night for their pool.
Right.
So I completely get that.
Yeah.
They tried to say, well, it wasn't big enough for what they wanted to do. It was, it's their big night, and I totally get it. It just would have been nice. That's my own.
No, of course. I mean, that's one thing I do have to, I'm not trying to be negative with everything, because I'm just keeping it real. But a big positive thing with the conference is that all the sponsored stuff, except for, Wednesday's Night Entertainment of the Year, every sponsored event party was on site.
Yep.
So
was nice.
that was a very, very nice thing, that you just had to walk somewhere in the hotel to go to, the seminars, the showroom floor, your room, no matter what tower you were in, grab something to eat, and then still be able to go to a party or walk out of the party, come back into the party, because every sponsored DJ Expo thing was in the hotel. And I know that's a thing they were looking for, was to find somewhere again, the way they had it like at the Taj, where everything could just be in one place. So I do have to give them that was nice, that you didn't have to leave the hotel if you didn't want to do things, that every night there was something going on.
Let's talk Tuesday a little bit. So we'll start off with some seminar stuff. Jeremy Breck did his seminar talking about lighting. I really liked it for one of the main reasons was Jeremy started out presenting lighting that just about any of us could do. Whether you're real novice, whether you're top of the line in production, and kind of everywhere in between, he really broke it down, and I really thought that was cool. He did get up into his production by about midway, and so about the halfway point, I went, okay, no. But initially, like some of the stuff, in fact, he did such a great job hyping up one of the lights that they are sold out for 2 months.
That's
of
awesome.
trying to get this light. So, well, no, it's not, because I can't get the light. No, he talked about the Wash FX2 and really kind of hyped it up and showed in the context of the room what it could do. And so I went down. They weren't selling any on the showroom floor, and then I said, what's the wait time? 45 to 60 days. And I went, well, not going to use that for that one, but no, it was pretty cool just to see, like I said, what he did, and again, talking all about it. It was slightly different. Some parts were coming back to what he's done in previous seminars, but he did have a lot of new elements for those of you that maybe sat through his presentations before. The guy knows lighting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Nick Spinelli. He's one of Jason Jeni's crew, SCE group. If those of you, for some reason, don't know that name, look it up. They're out of Jersey, right? Jersey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they have offices all over, but yeah, their main office.
Yeah, so that's what threw me for a second. But yeah, so he's awesome guy. He does a lot of little snippets and stuff like that. So check out some of his videos as well. He talked about a couple different things. One of the things that he really hit on was the idea of mixing throughout cocktail, mixing throughout dinner, and using that to really raise the energy of the room, and talking about that in some hardcore. And then he also talked about some crate and folder arrangements, which I thought was kind of cool. One of the things you see on Facebook every once in a while, especially in some of the DJ groups, how do you have your crates arranged? How, what's your folder system looking like for your software? And he actually had a couple different slides where he broke down his folder system. And so it was kind of cool to see somebody who actually said, here it is, this is what I use. And it was so funny to see everybody grab their phone and go, like immediately, taking it. So I'm sure like everybody did their own crate like that for next week. But it was kind of cool just to see that and use that going forward. And his seminar probably had the best attendance out of all the seminars, at least from what I was hearing. It was packed. It was standing room only. And again, Shani, you kind of mentioned that a lot of seminars you only get about half full. This was another one that was full. And he was wicked fast. It was supposed to be an hour and a half according to the schedule. 30 minutes, he was done. And it was not rushed. Well, maybe a little bit. It was great the way they set that up. But John, you got to do the exhibit hall.
Yep.
And so what was your biggest, I know you kind of had some insight on it, but what was your biggest maybe attention getter?
Well, there's a few things. Truthfully, there weren't as many as I thought there was going to be. So instead of really talking about, what was attention getter, and I can hit a couple of the new things, but the things that I saw at the show, that if John had a large checkbook that he would buy, so John's wish list, if he could have. So there's some things. First off, the Evolve 50 white. I spent some time. I looked at those. We heard those Tuesday night at the party and such. And Yeah, I've got to get those. You guys have heard me talk about the RCFs, and I've had those, but it's just night and day different, and I've got to get a set of those. Those are just, and in the white, I want to have that look for weddings.
It's a sexy look.
I love my Denon boards. There's, the Denons are fabulous boards, but there's just something about that Pioneer 1000 that's intriguing.
Dun, dun, dun.
So again, if John had the checkbook that was but then I go over to the Roland booth and I see the 808 with all those buttons on the top, and it's like, and then this one goes, and this one does the wow, that kind of thing. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I could be really obnoxious with that. So that's the list. John, what he did purchase is he bought the biggest rock and roller cart that they make, because that way he can haul all of his children on it at once. There, I beat everyone to it. Thank you.
I love it.
But I picked up the big one because we've got a 6, we've got a 12, and now we have the 18 coming in because I wanted to get that. For new things that really were kind of the first time of showing Atlanta Photo Booth. This is the first time that they showed the Rover, the little robotic photo booth that on the East Coast. This is the first time we saw it here. Denon showed the SC5000M, which is the motorized platters on their Prime series. That's what MJ and Michael could have used, but they chose to go with the older version because they had been kind of mentally preparing themselves for the older version for the show. But that was in the Denon booth. Phase, the little device that would allow you to basically
I
mix.
love that. I played with that.
Yeah, mix without any arm or needles on your tables.
And if anybody saw any of my videos, like Dan saw the one, that was crazy, right?
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah,
where he just picked up.
He actually picked up the vinyl and just started doing this while he was scratching with. I was like,
yeah, we had fun the last day when we could walk around. We had a lot of fun. Phase was great. I love the Phase.
I don't know what's
going on. just to kind of see what they were able to do with that was pretty cool.
That was definitely pretty cool. Lighting, there really wasn't a ton new with lights. There were a couple of things that had been coming out. Probably in the mobile DJ realm that was the most interesting to look at might have been the Intimidator 260, smaller spot from Showbay DJ, replacing the 255. Was it a night and day difference? No, it's a little brighter, a little bit, but I mean, there just wasn't anything that was earth shattering. Like, oh my gosh, yeah. So it was from that standpoint, it was kind of neat. Now, if you watched my walk around video, there was another lighting company there, and I'm going to throw them under the bus. I have no problem with this. So Rasha Lighting was there, and they had, as I went through and I was looking at all the different, there were lots of lights there. And many of these cool lights that I've seen online and were on the floor, and it's like, ooh, I'm kind of excited. I think it might have even mentioned that in the video that I'm going to come back and I want to see that light because it looks pretty cool. Well, when you see some of these companies that are not Showbay and American DJ, when they're at these trade shows, when they're setting up, there could be 40 lights on the ground. Now, they might only get 10 or 12 up in the air. It's not because they didn't have enough old clamps. It's not because they didn't have enough XLR wires to run. The reason is that most of the time, some of these or all of these lights may not work. And I think that was a specific case. There was a specific light that I wanted to see, and they weren't up in the ceiling. Why? I mean, you can set them to auto run and let them go. Yeah, sometimes when these knockoff companies are coming in with knockoff lights that they just imported from China and they don't have the quality control of the bigger names, there's a reason why they're so much cheaper, and we see it at the shows. So that was that.
There was also some eye-catching with the video panels ADJ had set up. Just the crispness of seeing them. I mean, every year when you see the new ones come out, it just gets more and more. So it was really kind of cool to see that. And then even the fact that they had one with their initials, the ADJ, over on the side. And I thought that was pretty cool too. Again, eye-catching. Am I going to incorporate it into my show? There's no way I can afford it.
Yeah.
But it was cool what they did. And for the right application, I'm sure there's people that bought 20 of them. But
yeah, ADJ had some cool stuff in their booth this year. They definitely did. They stepped it up.
There's some really cool things. But it wasn't anything. Some years at DJ Expo, they have this long list of things that are going to be really appealing to DJs. They had a phase. ADJ specifically had a phase, which is basically a fogger hazer, which was cool, but a lot of places you can't use it. They had a light that was a warm white, cool white, kind of a blinder effect. Kind of cool, but it's limited situational use. So you had some things like that. They had one light that they showed that I didn't even see. Brian Red did a video on it, and we'll talk more about it tomorrow night. A little laser light that was just literally came in off the FedEx truck from China that they were just going to kind of show and tease a little bit. So there just wasn't anything that was like, as a mobile DJ, we all need that. You just didn't see that this year. So.
Yeah, nothing jumped out. And I don't know if it was they weren't hiding stuff the way they had in the past, or if it was kind of related to something else. I know some of the talk has been kind of behind the scenes that we don't know if the vendors were going to really push like they had some of the companies that talked in the past about having these big productions in their booth, kind of really scaled it back and as a result. So I almost wonder if the thought was, well, this show's maybe not as big as it was, so if we hide stuff, and if we don't, oh well. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see.
I mean, and we can talk about the kind of the elephant in the room when it comes to the show is the size of the exhibit hall. That was one of the biggest comments that was coming from people. We had a nice variety of booths and such, but it was probably the smallest exhibit hall I've seen at DJ Expo. I mean, we go back 10 years when the room was huge, and it took a lot of time to get through it. And now, it's larger than the Mobile Beat one. It's still that, but you take away a few of the larger booths there, and the number of booths is getting a lot closer to Mobile Beat than it used to be. So it's disappointing on one side, but I can see, we've had discussions on other shows about where the industry's going, and you're starting to see signs of that.
Yeah. Well, we took up a lot of space in the back of the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's because you had a truck.
You had to get a truck in there so you could be, you could be working.
But the one nice thing
I was waving on my truck.
Yeah.
The nice thing was that the booths were kind of spread out, so nobody was completely on top of each other. So there was some nice ability to have some space there, and I talked about the fact that they were attempting in some form or fashion to at least keep the volume level down, and it seemed, if you were in there for some time, if you went in there say around noon, 12:30, 1 o'clock, it was tolerable. It was one of those things you were not necessarily jumping to put the earplugs in, but as the day went on, if you came back around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, it was definitely louder. But there wasn't as many. I guess as MJ and I talked about it last year, there was companies that had speakers and DJs that really had no reason to have speakers and DJs. This year, there didn't seem to be as many of those. So you weren't kind of blasted by somebody who really had no business doing that. So, yeah. Tuesday night was a lot of fun. So first off, there was. Okay, I'm gonna make fun of one of the companies just because I can. So PB, not necessarily the party part, but PB had published that this was going to be an open bar, and they kept talking about it. It's going to be an open bar. It's going to be an open bar. If you went to the party 45 minutes late, you learned it was no longer an open bar. Apparently, instead of being a 2-hour open bar, it was a $4,000 bar tab, and you tell DJs you got free alcohol and you don't have to pay for it because it doesn't matter what shelf you get. They're going to order the expensive stuff. And that's exactly what happened. So it was interesting. It was interesting. But I will say the party itself was cool. You had Keith Shockley, DJ Cool out of nowhere did a bit of, let me clear my throat. And then what I thought was really cool about him, a couple of years ago when he was in for the ADJ party, he kind of did his thing and he really kept to himself. This year he was like all over the place. He's like, "You want to take a picture with me? Here, come on, let's go." And super nice. I mean, super down to earth about it. And really just, he was bombarded by like 30 people. I'll be honest, I did it too. But it was just kind of cool to see that. And
he's one of my new
there. What was that?
He's one of my new friends now.
Well, not to brag or anything. I put this on Snapchat for those of you that saw it, but you're doing something right if DJ Cool comes to your show to see you mix. And that's exactly what happened with Shani on Wednesday with her show in the Bose booth. there comes up DJ Cool. I was like, yeah, I more like I was like this. He's like, I know her. But no, it was
humbled. Yeah.
That was awesome. And not just that, but like he came and he actually kind of gave, one of these type things to you to, to say that he was appreciating what you were doing. And I think that says two things. One, I think that says a lot about him.
Yeah.
That he's able to respect that. But I also, Shani, I'm going to give you a nod. I think that says a lot about you and how you treat other people. The fact that somebody like that wants to come and wants to appreciate what you're doing. So not to talk you up too much, but I do think that speaks volumes about you. So kudos.
No, and I appreciate it. And that's another thing that, we can get into like in another show about real DJing. And I had a long talk during the Bose party after my set, because they all hung out afterwards to hear me spin, which I was like, I couldn't believe it. So like, Mel Star and DJ Cool and Kevy Kev and all those guys just kind of like, hung out. And then as soon as my set was done, we had like this long discussion about just the history of DJing and what it's become and what you don't need to do to show off and how you're mixing skills and things like that. So I was just like a kid in a candy store. Like I had my mouth just shut and I was just like, can I just, use Dan's tape recorder right now and just tape like everything they're saying to me, just in case like it doesn't, sink in that like we were literally in a huddle with like our arms around each other. And I'm like, if somebody could just take a picture from the balcony, it was like the coolest moment for me. Just to find out. And then also to find out that like Scribble was up on top watching my set from like above. So he wanted to see exactly what I was doing in the booth. And I was like, oh my God, I'm glad I didn't know that ahead of time, because I probably would have like freaked out and put in like a premix. I can't DJ right now. There's too many of this, like the pioneers in here, like watching me, but it was just so refreshing that even, and I don't want to say at their age, but even at their time in the game, to want to still give back and talk to other DJs and give their insight about DJing and mixing and do's and don'ts, and willing to do it. Like let's just stand around and let's get something to eat and let's just talk. And I was like, I'll pay for it. I was like, I'll pay for their food, so that was just so great to just have those New York pioneers around. And like you said, like DJ Cole was just walking around and taking pictures and just doing his thing. And just to know these guys were just doing that is just mind blowing to me, that, they just love to give back to the DJ community.
Definitely. Of course, Tuesday night was also the DJNTV party, which was across town at the Irish Pub, which was, thank you again to Howie and Jimmy and everybody else that had a hand in putting that together. It was really cool to be a part of. Got across, MJ and I came across town and we got there, and immediately upon walking in, there was a bunch of people that were just hanging out, enjoying themselves. And it was really cool. And again, we wanted this to be more of a chill event, and that's exactly what it was. People were sitting back, there was drinks, there was food, and it was just enjoying each other's company and chit chatting. And it was so cool to get to meet some extra people. There was people that are part of our community that showed up that I had never met before, that I hadn't seen in the chat room necessarily, talking. And so to kind of share moments with them and, oh, you do that. Oh, you do that to get ahead in Google. All right, let's talk a little bit longer. And so just to kind of have those moments. And then of course, Michael got up and did his set and just had a lot of fun with it. And what was kind of cool was, for a brief moment, it rained and everybody kind of freaked out for a second. And within seconds, there was tarps everywhere and people were holding it up, and here's Michael just still playing. It was just kind of funny to see that. But I was like, oh, let's go. We're going to go move the equipment. And everybody was like, no, we're going to hold the tarp here. And that's what they did for the gear. And then it stopped and then it stopped. And then the rest of the night, we just had a great time. But at midnight, things wrapped up, and Howie and Jimmy took care of breaking everything down and taking care of that. So again, kudos to you guys for really having a hand in putting that together. But I had a lot of blast. I had a lot of blast. I had a blast, just like I did last year, just kind of hanging out with people and getting to know you guys. And it was a thank you very much for those of you that stopped by for that. definitely very cool.
I mean, my main thing is because I heard about, since, as you guys know, that we're at the party, I wasn't able to make it there. I did text Dan just to see the status of stuff. So it wasn't that I blew anybody off, or contrary to what rumors that were definitely flying around. And I just want to set the record straight that, who's ever saying like, oh, we don't want Shani to DJ here. It's a shame, because I am a big part of DJNTV. And I mean, anything that they would ask me to do, I would do. And Howie and I had major talks about that. Is just, after, we started the Bose party late, for those that know, because the party before us just didn't care about time. So
really, a PV event that didn't have a time?
Imagine that one.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention names, but in fact, to the point where, because both parties, PV and Bose was sponsored by DJ Expo, DJ Expo basically had to shut them down. Because, because it was our speaker parties, they had to tear down all their equipment, and then we had to put Bose equipment up, but it wasn't, we wanted to just have a nice setup. So we just kind of did one F1s and stuff like that in the S1s. But so we kind of started a little bit late. So I wasn't able to get to see all my DJNTV family that didn't come and support me at the booth or anything like that. So I do apologize for anyone that thought I was coming to there. I definitely was. And, then I was texting back and forth with Dan. So I just decided to, stay with Bose and just lend my full support. And
your equipment.
And yes.
Yeah. So for those, we don't need to go into a lot of details with that, but for those of you that were wondering, I mean, like I said, she was texting me back and forth, and one of the comments that immediately came up, she was like, they're using my stuff, like my what was your hub or something like that?
Yeah, for those that don't know, we were using a Nexus system, and with the Nexus system, and we can get into this like in a whole nother show too, you can do the USBs. I decided to do HID mode. So with HID mode, because I DJ all over the place, I don't depend on other people. I just don't. So I always bring my own cables, my own, USBs, and I ended up, it was my hub, I was using my hub with my USBs. So of course, as soon as my set was over, I went to unplug my stuff, and the person who was after me, their USBs weren't working. But being the professional that the next DJ was, had the backup and was like, I'll go HID mode. So, people that spin this kind of stuff, you gotta have your backups. And I mean, it was without hesitation. So next thing you know, my stuff's getting plugged in and not Bose. And I wasn't gonna be like, no, don't plug my stuff in, because I was already on the microphone trying to keep everybody going at the party, so nobody was walking away, and didn't even notice it till afterwards. And that's when I was like, yeah, they're using my hub and my USBs, but I'm going to get it after this DJ's on. And I already let them know, like, you guys got to pull out somebody else's hub and USBs if they're going HID mode. So yeah, so they were using my equipment. So I definitely was letting Dan know my status on everything while the party was going on.
So let's talk Wednesday real kind of briefly, maybe the things that stuck out to us. For seminars, the one seminar that really stuck out to me from Wednesday was Mike Weeder, Be the Difference Maker. First off, if you guys have not picked up his book, I'm going on record and saying I highly endorse it. Mike said I was probably one of the first ones that bought the book. I don't know if that's good or bad, but he gives a lot of tips in there, a lot of tricks in there. He expanded on that in the seminar. The guy has a very dry sense of humor, but it's awesome. If you can get that kind of humor, it's a lot of fun. And his presentation was full of that. And so I would highly recommend, like I said, that you pick up the book if you haven't already. Tell him I sent you, just because then he'll say, "Hey, Dan, thank you." But no, definitely, that was a seminar that stuck out to me on Wednesday. John, you were already gone by that point.
I was gone. So. Yes, I was in Baltimore by that time. So
you didn't get to see Shani's set. That was the other thing that stuck out to me on Wednesday, but we already talked about that.
Well, you could tell them like what I was in. I was, for those that didn't check out the Bose booth. It wasn't really a booth. It was a big pickup truck. It was a branded truck. For those that follow me on Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram, there's definitely pictures, so you guys can check out that stuff. But we decided to do something different, and we did video panels and TVs and
pretty cool.
moving heads, and and everything, and put S1s all over the place, Bluetoothed it, and without the cords, and I was in a pickup truck DJing, so that was kind of cool. It was different, and I wasn't in a parade.
It was a parade truck, yes.
So here's the one thing that I always like to talk about. I always like to pride myself on the swag game. Swag game was down this year.
I was going to get to that. I know. I was going to get to. Let's talk about swag.
Let's do it now. Let's do it.
Okay.
Who cares about the rest of the thing? I was gone by Thursday morning too. So, so swag game. I took a. I haven't put the picture up yet, but I took the picture of it. And I'm half tempted to put last year's beside this year's and just kind of show. Kudos to Bose, because I think they had the most swag, and somehow between everything, I think because I kept standing there watching the different sets, I kept getting things. So I got like sunglasses for my son. I got a pen because Shani was like, "Do you want this?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Here, have a pen."
I didn't give you the did I give you the doohickey?
You gave me the doohickey, which, by the way, that was kind of the weird thing this year. There was 2 places that were giving multi-tools away. 3 places that were giving multi-tools away. So you had the doohickey from you guys.
If somebody can tell me what the 5-in-1 is, I haven't figured out all 5 on the doohickey, so I can't.
I'll have to look.
For those that are with tools, can somebody just figure? Whoever I gave doohickeys to, can you guys tell me what all 5 things besides opening a bottle, which is like the given?
Okay. Chevet had one, so like with a screwdriver and everything built in, and then Sherman Tools had a little flat one that had a multi-tool. So for whatever reason, that was like the thing, the type of thing this year. But yeah, I was a little disappointed in the swag. Listen, companies that typically bring a bunch of stuff out.
That at the Bose party where we were giving out the headphones and stuff like that. For those that didn't believe me when I said I take care of my people, Bill Marsh won one of the big prizes at the Bose party somehow with his business card. And I'm going to be honest, you could ask him. I wasn't the one that picked out the card or anything. I wasn't near there. So if we had another one, Freddie would have been the next winner. But sorry, Freddie. Freddie was a dancing machine, I have to say, at all the parties. Freddie is just, if anybody has not met Freddie, he's just a ball of happiness. I just have to say that. So
hey, but wait a second. I will say this though. I believe you about Freddie. I'm not saying no, because I met the dude. He's awesome, but there is nothing compared to the guy in the suit at your booth.
So he friended me. His name is Bobby.
So John, let's put it this way. He was wearing
like a 3-piece suit.
Yeah, 3-piece suit, almost like a styled shirt of some sort. And he was dancing a storm for everybody's set. I walked past him at one point. He had sweated through his suit.
Oh my goodness.
On the back, like not just arm, back was soaked. I was just like, wow, that's hardcore.
He was like at his own rave, but let me tell you, it was so contagious. I just smiled every time I saw him. He was like that. He was like that with like at Scribble's party. He was like that. He was like that everywhere. And main stage, he was awesome. He was awesome. Not to take his shine away, but did anybody see the guy that I Snapchatted about the like face mask, like the gas face with the lights and the smoke coming out?
No, I
missed that one.
Yeah. I don't know if it like I don't know if it like he was wearing the mask for something special or it was just his gimmick.
Was he coming from that marijuana booth that was in there again this
year?
He
could have, because there was definitely smoke.
Coming back.
Yeah,
he definitely had smoke coming out of the mask, which I, took like I was in the phase booth and I kind of took a little video.
So speaking of marijuana, Shani, somewhere down on your end of the hallway.
Picking up marijuana, Shani.
Shani, somewhere on your end of the hallway, because we were on the same floor at the.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For anyone that
came, not a nice person,
came to my room, like when we had our talks and stuff like that, my area was the party area.
Yes, it was.
To the
Maybe
point
that's why you had the that spa thing put in your room.
Right. So I don't know who like was in my room or saw my Snapchats, but I had the air purifier in my room. I think even like even Superfly commented on it. He was like, I think it looks like a big Apple phone. So now I know why they have the air purifier in there, but you have to pay for it.
It's like,
well, yeah.
I watched because I had a little screen and like on my desk and like I was like, oh, there's a video for it. So yeah, it was $14.99 a night if you wanted to pay for it. But then it also was more than an air purifier. You could do like the sleep sounds at night if you wanted it to. You could have like the scent, like when you go through like the fancy car wash and they ask you like what scent you want in your car. Like I think the air purifier also had, I didn't know if it had new car smell, but it definitely had like other stuff. But yeah, our hallway, I think maybe it was my part of the tower because John, you were on the other side, the other tower, right?
Exactly,
and we met in the middle.
Yeah, we had the wheelchair ramp on our side. It was really kind of
you're the senior citizen. I had definitely the ravers.
A little quieter on our side.
Tower, so it was the party. It was definitely the party floor.
I was never near.
Yeah. So as we wrap things up, because we'll move this into the hangout. For those of you that are not sure, that's kind of basically like what a lot of us did at the expo. Also, was outside the seminar rooms. We all kind of hung out and talked. Bill Marsh and I had never met before in person before this expo, and I think there was multiple nights where 3 hours later I was like, dude, I just got to go to bed. Like this needs to end. But no, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that in the hangout, and John's going to put all the link in there so you can join us and we can have some fun and keep talking and do all those kind of good things here in just a little bit.
Yeah. And before we go to the hangout, just to let you guys know, for those that have never been to the DJ Expo or never been to a DJ conference that are definitely on the fence, you get what you put into it. So you definitely, if you want the education and you want the seminars, go to them. You want learning. You're definitely going to get a nugget out of every seminar you go to. You might even get 5 to 10, but you're definitely going to get a nugget. If you're a gearhead and you're there for the showroom floor, you're definitely going to see stuff that you weren't able to see. If you weren't able to touch the rain system, you're able to do that. NAMM, if you didn't go to it, that's when Phase came out. Here, you were actually able to jump on all the stuff at the Phase booth and play with Phase, same thing with like the Roland, stuff like that. So for the gearheads, there's definitely stuff to do. The parties, like I said, the ones that were sponsored were definitely on site except for Entertainer of the Year, but they did have shuttles going for that. So you didn't have to worry about transportation, which was great. So if you're there for the parties, that's also great as well. The networking, the networking is incredible. The people, like Dan was just saying how, he never met Bill and got to talk to him. The networking is incredible. I think I got like 2 hours sleep every night. I looked so sexy when I was there. Yeah. Got 2 hours sleep. The networking is awesome and just talking in the hallways, but don't let that take over the education or the showroom floor or anything else. The networking is great, but also remember why you're spending this kind of money and why you want to be there for the education and stuff like that. There's definitely times where you guys could talk, breakfast, lunch, dinner, after hours, things like that. So don't be afraid to say to somebody, hey, can we hook up at this time? I want to go to the seminar. Or I want to go see this person on the main stage, or I want to go to this. So there's, you just have to kind of make time. It's kind of like doing your own party where you put your timeline together. You kind of just have to make time to try to put everything in there. And guess what? If you do it the right way, you can do it and you'll just be a zombie going home. But it is doable. And if you have to ghost on your friends like I did at 4 a.m, and I'm not afraid to say I did ghost on some famous people because I had enough of them. Just like I kicked other people out of my room. I was like, if you're not paying for this room, you got to get out and just know your limitations. So, you get some sleep and you get rest and you're refreshed for the next day of the seminars and stuff like that. So definitely, we did say some negative stuff. We said a lot of positive stuff, but everything is going to have that, nobody's a robot. Nobody is perfect. If somebody was perfect, they would be up there. So just think about it. If you've never been to DJ Expo or any other conferences that you might be like, you know what, it's something that I want to try to put on my calendar. And if you say you can't afford it, start putting $20 aside every week. If you can take the time off, then you can afford it. And put some money away, kind of like, I don't need to tell you guys how to run your own money game. Your financial advisor can help you with that, but just put little money away. And by the time you need to pay for a pass or you need to pay for a hotel, you can do it. And you could say, oh my God, I finally made it here because I was able to. So that's just me stepping on my soapbox right now and giving Shani's 5 for 5 on one little thing.
So I want to ask real quick here. This is kind of my opinion. We talked about the exhibit floor and some of the downside, I guess we will say with that. Overall, I felt this was a good rebound year after last year.
I'd say I
feel a little bit, I feel confident. I know that was one of the questions going into this was, listen, what are they going to do after last year to kind of show some confidence in here? There was different topics that were being presented, different style of topics that were being presented, different people who maybe used to, maybe the topic was the same, but a different leader on that when it comes to the seminars. Yeah, there's stuff to fix. There always will be stuff to fix. But I really feel that they did a good rebound. Now, whether they keep it at Harrah's, whether they try and go to Hard Rock, which was what Taj was, was the Taj before his Hard Rock, whether they do something like that, we'll have to see next year. But regardless, I feel like this was a good. Agree?
Yeah. I agree. I think, they did a great job having it at Harrah's. And again, when it's your first year and it's your inaugural year, you're going to deal with bumps and bruises. And I know DJ Times are the type of people that will try to fix things. And hopefully they won't put, speaker companies next to the seminars, next year. If they have it, I don't know if they signed like a full-on contract with Harrah's for 5 years or 3 years or 2 years or whatever they did, but wherever they have it, I'm sure they're going to think about, they're having a meeting and they're looking on the pros and the cons, just like we're talking about for you guys that want to attend or have attended.
Awesome. Well, with that note, thank you very much. Next week, Shani's 5, I got 5 on it. We'll be back.
Oh my God, I have so much.
You're only on 5.
Okay.
It's not Shani's got 5.5 on it. This isn't Jeffrey Gittimer. It's 5. All right. But anyway, we'll be back next week with that. Again, if you're going to join us in the Hangout, make sure you click on the link and join us. If not, thank you very much. Have a good one.
Bye.